The vines have been harvested, the vines have been pruned, and dormancy begins. Now, that's the time of year that the vineyard's in the process of replenishing itself for the coming season. Both the staff and the vines begin to turn their attention to the coming year. This is the time of year when many people look at the past year's highlights, reminisce, and make resolutions. I use this time of year as a time to look forward. Now, of course, none of us have a crystal ball. However, for the last 40 to 50 years, both in my corporate and personal lives, I've looked at and considered what the new year may hold. Now, in this episode, I'm going to open a window into my life and show you an approach to embracing each new year that really has worked wonders for me. You'll find this beneficial whether you apply the principles to your business or personal life. Now, from a personal standpoint, this is very beneficial to use as individuals. Additionally, if you're married or in a relationship, this can bring additional intimacy to that relationship. Now, keep in mind, this could look and feel a little intimidating. I assure you, it's manageable and so worth it. You know, it's good to step back and establish an overarching trajectory for what you want in the different areas of your life, particularly at the beginning of every year. So, what do you think? Are you ready to cast some vision? As we look ahead to the year that lies before us, how do you feel? Are you excited, nervous, hopeful? Any big dreams? What's on your wish list? Have you taken the time to write anything down pertaining to what's to come? There are all kinds of ways to skin this cat. Today, I'm going to share my approach to vision casting with you. It starts with identifying your current situation, your current status. Now, back in the day, this was known as your as-is. Now, after the as-is on the table, we establish a vision, and finally, we make a determination as to how we're going to get from where we are to where we want to be. Again, back in the day, this was called the gap analysis. Okay, allow me to offer a little bit more detail. Now, as I do, if this somehow resonates with you, I'd appreciate you letting me know in the comments below. Now, also, please consider hitting subscribe and ring the little bell to turn on notifications and sharing this with a friend. This idea of looking ahead is not rocket science, yet I have found very few people who are dedicated to and know where they're going in life, much less in the coming year. We're all different. As I talk about in my live video, Trouble in the Vineyard, Deny, Cope, and Thrive, some of us will bump through life or flow through life, taking things a day at a time. This approach is que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. Honestly, I'm a little convinced that these people live a whole lot longer than the rest of us. Some of us cope with life. When something crops up, good or bad, we deal with it. With good, we accentuate the positive. With bad, we mitigate the damages. What I have found over the decades is that those who have a general overview, vision, dream, purpose, and or goals regarding what they want to do in life and write it down are those who find a higher degree of success, fulfillment, and contentment in life. They thrive. I want to be real clear. I have definitely made my mistakes in life. What you're going to learn today, some of it I've knocked out, really absolutely knocked out of the ballpark. And most of it I've taken a lot of learning things the hard way sort of approach. This can easily be broken down into 4 phases. Now, the first phase is figuring out what the important topics or aspects or facets of your life are. They can include anything, emotional, relational, financial, physical, communication, spiritual, unity, playfulness, life purpose, both individually and as a couple, and just a whole lot more. You know, as you get into it, you'll find there's a whole lot of overlap between each of your different facets of life. You may identify a whole variety of areas in your life, or just one or two areas, topics that you want to work on as an individual or as a couple. Now in phase 2, we determine what our overall vision for the year might be. If you want to work on your marriage, then your vision might be something like, I want it to be the best marriage on the planet. Your vision will be tweaked at the end. Right now, just keep it simple. Once you have your different facets and your basic vision, we move to phase 3. Circle back to the facets and one by one connect them to your vision, completing step 1 through 3 on your worksheet. Take a look at this graphic to see what I mean. Now, as you can see, there are actually 4 basic steps on this worksheet. 1, reading. Takes about 5 to 15 minutes. 2, reflection. That's reflecting on your reading. That takes approximately 10 to 15 minutes. 3, takeaways, which is a summary of your reflection. That's about 20 to 30 minutes. 4 is a summary or synthesis. This is done at the completion of any or all of the topics you choose to work on for the year, and a cumulative summary. As you see, I listed 10 topics. There could be more, or you may have 3 or 4 topics, and they could be completely different based on your personality and relationship status. At first glance, this may appear ominous. However, if you look at how there's such little space on the chart, you're not digging or drilling down deep. You're taking things in small, bite-sized pieces. This is extremely manageable. If you took 1 hour for each of these topics, you could figure out who you are and what you're doing for an entire year in a relatively short period of time. Let me show you how this works. If you had 4 topics and invested 1 hour for each topic, you and your partner could do 2 topics one Saturday morning, investing 2 hours, and then 2 topics and 2 hours in the afternoon or evening. You could cover 4 topics in a day with plenty of time to play. As an example, let's use the topic of spiritual intimacy. Spiritual intimacy in your marriage. You know, you're beginning to view aspects of your life together and creating a connectedness that will develop a deeper level of intimacy. This is the old school concept of the 2 becoming 1. For number 1, reading insight, what do I mean by that? Honestly, it's pretty straightforward. Randomly go to the internet and pick the first short article about that particular topic. Now, I'm not critiquing or analyzing the article. The primary purpose for the article is to stimulate my thinking, your thinking regarding that topic. You know, there have been some times where I have read some pretty squirrely articles about a particular topic. Now, and for me, it's immaterial how squirrely those articles are. What you're reading them for is nothing more than to stimulate your thinking. I use a highlighter to mark 4 to 6 key ideas, then I transpose them onto the worksheet. That took maybe 6 minutes and 25 seconds, as I recall. For number 2, reflection, that took me 5 minutes and 30 seconds. I summarized 6 key ideas that the reading stimulated in me. They were not necessarily part of the reading, just something that resonated in me as I was thinking about the article. Number 3 is takeaways. This took me about 28 minutes and 15 seconds. There you allow your mind to create a summary and maybe 3 to 5 steps that you could potentially use. Up next is phase 4. Oh, wait, Pierre, what about step number 4 on the worksheet? We'll get to that in a second. First, you need to decide which of the 3 or 4 facets you'll focus on for the new year. Once you've chosen yours, again, no more than 3 or 4, go back and complete number 4 on the worksheet for those 3 or 4 facets only. If spiritual intimacy is not something that you'll be working on an ongoing basis, then you don't need to summarize or synthesize it. You would summarize or synthesize only the topics you're going to be working on. Number 4 should take between 15 and 30 minutes. If you want to spend more time getting more detailed and into the weeds, you can do that, but not now. This exercise and chart is something that gives you a lot of latitude, flexibility, and broad guidance regarding different aspects of your life. Working with a spouse or partner, the time should not be extended any further than what I'm suggesting. If you want to discuss any or all the topics in more detail, do that another time. Make sure you make notes of that and then generally what you want to discuss. Once you complete phase 4, you'll be able to step back and see a more elaborate version of that vision you initially cast. In other words, if your vision statement from phase 2 is the thesis statement, then the summary you just wrote are the body paragraphs. Well, there you have it. Looking ahead for 2022. Hey Posse, thanks so much for investing the time to watch this video. I trust it was helpful to you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And please consider hitting subscribe. Also, click here to check out our new online shop. We have a great lineup of wine-related items that will help you get the most out of your wine experience. Oh, and be sure to check out these other videos. Until next time, cheers.